This is the Retirement Solution Podcast with financial advisor Jon Hicks, founder of J. Hagan Capital.
And I'm Heather Branch here with Jon to talk about ways to help you prepare for your financial future, focusing on your retirement goals. RetirementSolutionRadio.com is where you can go to begin the conversation with Jon and his team at J. Hagan Capital. We also have links posted in the show notes. Again, that's RetirementSolutionRadio.com. All right, Mr. Hicks. Professor. Can I call you that? Professor Hicks, because
I don't know if it's accurate, but I'll take it. I'll take that
moniker. Get your what are some of the old school
monocle?
Yes, that
my
abacus,
vest,
your
my abacus,
whatever kind of teacher apparatus. And we got to talk through this one slowly because just reading the question makes me say, "What?" Oh. For me, the bond conversation, I don't know why I can't wrap my brain around it, but it continues to confuse me.
Yeah.
And now we're going to add in the inverted yield curve.
Oh, this is going to be enthralling.
Everybody lean in.
If you have a Snuggie and a pillow, I would suggest you dig those out right. Unless you're driving. If you're driving, no Snuggie and pillow. No, we're going to spice this up. We're going to make this entertaining.
Make it spicy.
Yeah.
All right. So thinking about bonds, generally,
not James Bond,
not James
Shaken,
Bond,
not stood.
Unfortunately, not James Bond. Thinking about bonds, generally speaking, it does not make sense when you can get a higher return for a 1-year bond than a 3-year bond. That's just about longevity of return on investment.
Sure.
However, that is actually what is happening right now. A higher return on a 1-year than a 3-year.
Right now. Yeah.
And it is called, as I was just saying, the inverted yield curve.
Sure.
Which often signals a recession. However, recession is another little coin word, a term we've been hearing a lot over the past year. However, it's never really seemed to come to fruition. Where it's like, is it going to happen? It's been slow coming. Money manager Paul Hickey is telling Fox Business that it is still possible.
Typically, when the curve first inverts till when a recession starts, the average amount is 589 calendar days, which is about a year and a half. The curve has only been inverted for almost a year now, so I wouldn't write off a recession.
He's saying we got another 6 months. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things here, if we're thinking about what this show is about, which is to understand what do we do as we're within those 3 to 5 years before retirement, or we're already retired. We're trying to figure, hey, what do we do with our money now so that we don't blow through it and then can't have a great retirement? And this reminds me of a conversation I had this past summer. So I was playing golf in Florida with Grant Fuhr. Now, if you're a hockey fan out there, you know that Grant Fuhr was one of the greatest goalies of all time, Hall of Fame for the Edmonton Oilers. This guy is as good, or was as good at hockey. I say is. No, I should say is. Yeah. Is as good as hockey as anyone you'll ever meet in your life. He is hard-nosed. He's also a pretty good golfer. Okay. But amazingly, the inverted yield curve was going on this summer. And we were playing golf. Yeah. And maybe we'd had a Molson or two.
You're a grown man on a golf course. It happens. Yeah.
It's possible we'd had that. And he was just like, Jon, tell me, how come, and this is before rates had gone hyperbolically up. They were up, but not crazy. And he's like, Jon, how come if I put my money in a 1 or a 2-year CD or a 1 or 2-year bond, it's paying me more than if I got a 5 or a 10-year bond? I'm like, well, Grant, let's talk about inverted yield curve. And he just had this dazed look, like because he just had a hockey puck shoved in his ear for a second.
Maybe
he's like, what are you talking about?
He did not do that well in economics class in college. Please continue, Professor Hicks.
Yeah. So when you break it down and you kind of look at it, it's like people expect interest rates to go down in the short run. Mm-hmm. So here's what this means. Now, we don't need to spend a whole bunch of time in the books, right? Okay. We need just to understand what does it mean and what can we do. So what that means is that this is one of those opportunities where a lot of people love liquidity. A lot of people love the idea of being able to touch their money any given day. I want to go get it tomorrow. I want to be Scrooge McDuck, and I want to swim in it. I want to swim in piles of gold bullion coins. Mm-hmm. That's what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how many people McDuck it out there, but I don't think that many, but we all think we want to. Yeah. So if you're going to Scrooge McDuck it, man, I want to come to your house. But the idea is that we probably don't need that much liquidity. And here's where it's so important for retirement. Okay. When we're looking at the money we've saved for retirement, I don't want you to think about it on a day-to-day basis. What I want you to think about is, how old are you today? Let's assume, I'm just going to make this generalization, you're 65. And there's a really good chance that you'll last to at least be 90. Okay. That's 25 years. So what you don't need is all of your money liquid today. You need to make certain that there's going to be some available for the next 25 years. So there will be a portion of your money that you could consider taking a longer time period with. Now, here's the reason I'm getting to this point. When we're talking about an inverted yield curve, it means that the rates today are probably better than they're going to be 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 years from now. So why would we not consider, if we don't need all of our money to be liquid, why wouldn't we consider locking in some investments over the next 3 years? 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. I don't love anything that lasts longer than 10 years because 10 years is a long time and a lot of things can change. But I would tell you this, if you went back to 1998 and you could have gotten a 10-year CD that paid you 8.4%, would you have wanted to lock that sucker in back then? Knowing that the dot-com, even if you didn't know that the dot-com bust was going to happen, would that have been okay? Yeah, you would have been pretty good. So as we're looking now, interest rates today, if you lock in for a longer portion, may be better than they're going to be, let's just be real, for the next 15 to 20 years. It's possible. So should we consider some parts of our portfolio adding a little bit of longer exposure at these high interest rates? Well, in my opinion, you got to do the math. But the answer would be yes. One of the things I told Grant, because Grant is obviously a retired Canadian Hall of Fame NHL goalie. He is pretty shrewd when it comes to his finances, but he's not really, he doesn't care about the actual investments. He just wants it to work out. He doesn't want to take a ton of risk. Well, he was speaking my language and I was speaking his.
Also that mindset, is that not all of us? Don't we all want it to know we're going to be okay without having to get in the weeds and drown ourselves with all the nuances and the details?
What I would say is, Heather, those are the people that this show gravitates to and vice versa. People that say, hey, listen, I've done a pretty good job saving. I don't need to risk it all. If I can get 6 or 7 or 8% on my money with limited or no risk, I would be willing to do that, right? And that's exactly what Grant was saying. He was like, well, John, what do you mean by that? I'm like, hey, Grant, would you consider getting, let's say, 7% on your money if you knew that you couldn't lose any? Would you take 7% if you had to lock it in for 5 or 6 years? And he was like, well, absolutely I would. Absolutely I would, because 7% is better than he's averaged on his stock market investments, not over the last 7 years, but over the last 20 years, because this guy's been investing for a long time. He's a retired NHL Hall of Fame goalie, right? And he's like, I need that money to live off of. So I would much rather have a higher rate of return and not have to worry about it in the future. And so we had that conversation. So here's what I would tell anyone. Don't get all hung up in inverted yield curve. Think about this. If you can get 5% on a money market right now, and know that that's really pretty secure, but you could get 8 or 9 or 10% potentially on something equally as safe or maybe even guaranteed to never lose principal, would that also be attractive? If you have to hold it for, let's say, 3 or 4 or 5 years. Well, a lot of people would say, yes, I would. So use this inverse yield curve. Use this opportunity when short-term rates are actually better than long-term to lock in those short-term rates. Okay. That might be one of the best things that we can do. We can actually do this with banks right now. If you use structured notes or principal protected notes, which are fully guaranteed and backed by a bank. No, they're not often FDIC insured. That's okay. But they're still backed by that bank. So if you get JP Morgan Bank or HSBC Bank or Bank of America or whatever it is, you know that as long as they don't go out of business, you're going to be in good shape, right? On the other side, you can use insurance companies. Insurance companies call this insured indexing, where they will insure your money against loss, but they will invest in a stock index for you. And you can often get, Heather, at least right now, you can get to the upsides of 10 to 18% a year to the upside. That's not bad. That's not bad, because we have not seen rates like that. Actually, in my lifetime, 24 years in this industry, I've actually never seen rates this high. Now, it doesn't mean the market's going to be favorable. It doesn't mean that interest rates are going to go down. Doesn't mean any of that. But if there's a portion of your portfolio that you want limited risk with, that you want to consider locking in some better potential rates over the long term, I would actually consider that. Insured indexing or principal protected notes are very attractive right now because of what the Fed has done. Now, whether we have a recession coming up next or not, who knows? And that's one of the things that Paul Hickey was talking about in his little snippet there, his audio. He doesn't know if a recession is yet to come. Now, we don't either, but my point is, if you know that you have safety of your principal and you're locking in the highest rates that are currently available, does it really matter if a recession comes as long as you know you're safe and then your income is protected? Not necessarily. And you can live to fight another day. Because the greatest thing about a recession is that once things go down, as long as you've been safe and you don't go down as much, it creates a buying opportunity that we can all enjoy on the way up as long as we don't have crazy losses.
Helping you understand what opportunities you have within your plan is what Jon and the entire team at J. Hagan Capital are here to help you figure out. You can find us at retirementsolutionradio.com. We also have links posted in the show notes, so you can just click there as well, or again, visit us anytime at retirementsolutionradio.com.
Thanks for listening to the Retirement Solution Podcast with Jon Hicks. Begin the conversation about your savings plan with Jon and the team at J. Hagan Capital by visiting retirementsolutionradio.com. Be sure to listen to Jon's radio show, The Retirement Solution, Saturdays at 8 a.m. and Sundays at 9 a.m. on News Radio 840 WHAS.
J. Hagan Capital Inc. is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if J. Hagan Capital Inc. is licensed in your state, please call 502-690-5635. J. Hagan Capital Inc. is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency. It does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Jonathan Hicks, insurance license number 548962.